This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Elsewhere in the Big 12 last night, all the home teams won, obviously with Arizona State taking down Tech by 5. UCF, a winner over TCU. TCU was coming off that road win over Oklahoma State, and I really kind of thought they had a lot to play for as they're trying to figure out a way to make the NCAA tournament. This loss to UCF last night doesn't keep them from that, but it certainly hurts that as they fell 82-71. And then, Jamie, maybe we shouldn't be...
Wouldn't you say that UCF's a better team, though?
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
they're playing at home.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I
would have predicted.
Yeah, you probably. Yeah,
I would have.
Yeah.
I would have predicted UCF in that one all day, every day.
Okay, and UCF is 7-6 in the Big 12, and TCU is 6-7. One team is 16-10. One team is 18-7, and UCF has played better at home than on the road. I just maybe thought that TCU had a little momentum going into that one, coming off of that win. So that's it. That's all. That's what I really thought there. And maybe shouldn't have been surprised by this because, when teams make a coaching change, sometimes there's that initial, momentum or, injection of enthusiasm or, just you get feeling a little bit better. But K-State winning over Baylor last night, 90-74 at Bramlage. And they had their names on the back of their jerseys last night, Jamie, for that one.
Yeah, both teams pretty bad babasketball teams, so it's not like Kansas State suddenly became a good team.
No.
Yeah.
And that continues to be a mess there with Jerome Tang. That doesn't feel like that's going anywhere fast. He's lawyered up, and they're digging their heels in. So, lot to fight for there.
Yeah, I don't know about you, and I'm going to assume because of your being a Kansas guy and your hate for Kansas State that you're with me in that I'm totally rooting for Jerome Tang at this thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, Kansas State to act like we found a way that we don't have to pay him this $18 million is silly in my opinion, and it's weak sauce rather than just admit, yep, we messed this up badly. This stinks out loud, but we're going to own it and just move on.
Yeah, and there's this other report out there, and I think it's been acknowledged by the athletic director that they went to him and said, "We're going to let you coach the rest of the season," and then try to negotiate it, and they wanted to negotiate a settlement, and then you're going to resign at the end of the year, and we're going to pay you this, and he said no, and then they came back and said, "Okay, we're going to fire you for cause." So, on one hand, they were like, we're going to fire him for cause. But yet on the other hand, they were like, well, we're going to go ahead and let you coach the rest of the year, and we're going to pay you X number of million. And that number has not been disclosed. In fact, he said that number wasn't disclosed to him, that they would negotiate a number. Well, if you're going to negotiate a number, then wouldn't it be wise to go ahead and negotiate that number? Say, hey, Jerome, this isn't working out. It's not working out for you. It's not working out for us. What say we do this? You coach the rest of the year, and we'll pay you 9, and we'll pay you a lump sum of 9, and then we can all go about our merry way. And maybe he comes back and says, I'm supposed to get 18. That's what you guys wanted me to do, and that kept me from going to schools like Texas Tech or wherever I was going to potentially go because we were riding on a hot streak. How about we make it 12? And then, you go from there. So it just seems, the whole thing seems ridiculous. And you know what it feels like, Jamie? It feels like at some point in time, and I don't know how the Kansas State Board of Regents works, but it feels like at some point in time, this may cost the athletic director and the president their job by the time it's all said and done.
Maybe. I think AD more likely than president, but yeah, well, obviously this is it's not a good look for them. There's no question. Yeah. I think all the sports world is somewhat laughing at them and trying to get out of this.
Yeah, and you got coaches all over the place that are looking at this going, all he did was he probably crossed the line with how he what he said about his players, and he probably needed a little bit more of a cooling off period. Probably needed somebody.
Did he really cross the line?
Well, I mean,
what did he say that crossed the line? Some of these guys won't be here next year.
Yeah, I think when the way that I think that's a slight cross of the line. I mean, there was
really.
Well,
I mean, did the Colorado coach cross the line?
No, because I don't think he made it as personal as the K-State coach. I think he just made it more personal than the K-State coach did. Did
Tang mention guys by name?
He did not.
Yeah, that did that. So he didn't make it personal.
Well,
you're led to guess which guys he's talking about.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. You are. I mean,
it doesn't take more than half a brain to figure it out. Probably, but
yeah. No, I think it was. I think it was a bad deal all the way around. And for K-State to try to use that was just. His exact quote was, "This was embarrassing. These guys do not deserve to wear this uniform. There will be very few of them in it next year. I'm embarrassed for the school, embarrassed for our fans, our student section. It's just ridiculous." So, and again, the universities in his contract has the right for cause and would not be entitled to pay for compensation, blah, blah, blah. Objectionable behavior is as determined in the sole judgment of the athletics director. That's in his contract. So, I mean, I guess
what the objectionable behaviors in the sole judgment of the AD.
That's what's in his contract. Yeah.
That seems a little shady.
Yeah, I know. It's like, why would you sign that, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
It's like, hey,
if that's the case, he could have said, well, it was because you didn't sign an autograph for my kid.
Yeah, you looked at him wrong, He looked at me wrong.
Your two purples that you were wearing didn't match. One was light purple and one was dark purple. Oh, wait, the whole entire team is doing that. Fire them all.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I there's no question it's going to be – it is messy. It's a bad look. They need to make this go away as quickly as they can. And now I feel like that Jerome Tang's got the upper hand by a large margin. He's got a lot of people on his side. We'll see if they can get this worked out. Oh well. So and last night in college basketball, I don't know if you've seen this or not. I had a chance to look, but 5 of the teams that were ranked lost last night in college hoops. So it was not a good night to be ranked. It was a good night to be the underdog last night on the men's side.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Today is Wednesday, February the 18th, 2026. With this day in sports history, here is Jeff McGuire.
1922, gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Kennesaw Mountain Landis resigns his federal judgeship to give full attention to his job as Major League Baseball commissioner.
Wow. I guess he couldn't wear both hats anymore, huh?
That's a lot of work for both sides.
Yeah.
When you're using a hammer, when you're talking about the hammer, I mean, it's different.
Sure.
1979, 21st Daytona 500 took place. Richard Petty wins the race after leaders Cale Yarbrough and Donnie Allison collide with each other on the final lap. It's the first 500-mile race, by the way, broadcasted from start to finish.
Wow. You guys don't remember when they did that with the Indy 500 where they tape delayed it, do you?
I do not remember that.
Yeah, they did that for years and years and years, where it would be you'd have it on the radio and then they would run it back on television later in the afternoon or early evening. It was just kind of how they did things back then.
1986, San Antonio guard Alvin Robertson scores the NBA's second quadruple double. 20 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, and 10 steals in a 121-14 win over the Phoenix Suns.
Wow. Gus was talking about one yesterday as well for David Robinson for the Spurs.
Yep, sure was.
2004, Greg Maddux signs with the Chicago Cubs, the team he began his career with. Do you think of him as more of a Cub or as a Brave?
Brave.
Man, that's a tough one for me. Yeah, I could go either way on that one.
Yeah, I think I could too.
Yeah, I mean, I could.
I mean, it also helps that he played on both of the two super stations growing up.
Sure.
He was on WGN and TBS.
Sure.
So I watched a lot of Cubs and a lot of Braves games. And in 2022, Texas Tech freshman Owen Washburn hits a 2-out walk-off single to push the number 14 Red Raiders past Michigan 7-6 in Friday night's opening night of the College Baseball Showdown at Globe Life Field. He finished 3 for 4, along with 2 walks, 3 runs scored, and the game-winning RBI.
Good day for Owen.
It is National Drink Wine Day.
I'm going to let you do it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not a wine drinker. I mean, I have nothing against it. It's just not for me.
I have something against it for me. I don't need it.
Okay.
I'm not even really a big fan of grape juice, so kind of goes that way too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Happy birthday today to Matt Dillon, who's 62. John Travolta, 72. Molly Ringwald, 58. Yoko Ono, 93. And Vanna White is 69.
Wow.
And on this day, 1930, Pluto is discovered at the Lowell Observatory, there we go, in Flagstaff, Arizona, by astronomer. Thank you. Don't know why I can't talk all of a
Clyde
sudden.
Turnbow.
Exactly. And, yeah, small little rock flying around the earth, flying around the sun. Kind of a fun day. And that's this day in sports history.
All right, this day in sports history. Thank you, Jeff.
Still not a planet.
6:49 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Going back to Greg Maddux, he spent his first 6 years with the Cubs, then 10 years with the Braves. He won his World Series with the Braves, his first Cy Young with the Cubs, and then 3 more with the Braves, and then finishes up with the Cubs, the Dodgers, the Padres, and then back to the Dodgers. So he kind of bounced around there at the end, but I don't. You like you said, it could go. It could go either way. Speaking of baseball, did you hear this crazy? I mean, it's sad. It's crazy. It's unbelievable story about the Union Players Association guy that had to resign because he was mixing it up with his sister-in-law. Goodness gracious! Tony Clark resigns after an internal inquiry. Revealed an inappropriate relationship with his sister-in-law. I don't know if it was his brother or his wife's sister. Doesn't matter. But apparently they were doing some accounting and looking at things and doing some kind of an inquiry with regard to a still open federal investigation and about alleged improprieties, including nepotism. And they came upon this one, and he promptly resigned. So, goodness gracious. That's sad.
Just be careful when you're throwing rocks there, Chuck.
What do you mean?
Oh
yeah, right. I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot about that. You're exactly right. No, well, I mean,
that was some of that.
Yeah, it was. That was bizarre here too. I mean, it isn't any less bizarre with what happened with former basketball coach and his brother's wife. Man, just an absolute mess. 6:51 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Somebody says this: the UT coach called his players stupid earlier this year in a press conference. Okay.
Well, they chose to go to UT, so chose to wear that color.
Well, I mean, and again, I mean, of course, I'm sure that when, Jerome Tang signed his contract, he never thought about, well, if I go off on my players in a press conference, that I'm going to get, quote, fired for cause as a result of that.
That would be, I mean, if we as sports fans think the world is getting soft, I mean, that would be the epitome of that, right?
Yeah.
if you got fired and lost $18 million because you said some of these guys don't deserve to be here and they won't be here next year.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and didn't even call them out by name. Yeah, that would be the epicenter of soft.
Yeah, and didn't dog cuss him or anything like that. I wonder.
Yes.
I haven't.
I'm sure he dog cussed him in the locker room, but I mean, that's a different deal.
Yeah. I mean
Chuck does that in our production meetings after each show.
Oh, right. I mean, I've had my moments in life. There's no question on that. But it is, I'm not always proud of it, But I mean, I've gotten better over the years, Jamie. I've gotten
good. I'm glad to hear it. We're all allowed to get better. Right?
We are allowed to get better. I'm the fuse on my temper is much longer than it was 20 or 30 years ago. At least I feel like it is. Now others may have an opinion on that one way or the other. There's days when we all have a short fuse, right? We all have that.
Absolutely.
We all have that from time to time.
I never have a short fuse. I do not know what you're talking about. My fuse is the same length all the time. Sometimes it's just not lit yet.
All right, Mr. One Percenter, will you substantiate this statement from the Yates Flooring Center chat line? If the sun was the size of a basketball, Pluto would be the size of a grain of sand and would be on average 2/3 of a mile apart.
I think that math checks out.
Okay.
It's close.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to actually break it down.
Okay.
I'll keep in mind, though, that the sun is really, really big. 99% of the entire mass of our solar system is in the sun. Of the remaining 1%, Jupiter contains 99% of that. So we're talking big differences between everybody else.
And see, Jamie, I didn't even know any of that.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Me neither.
But that's why he's our one percenter.
Or it's because I grew up around NASA and heard a lot of fun space facts that stuck.
Yeah.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Good morning with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire and Chuck Heinz. Jamie, we get this. Move on, Chuck. The ifs and buts of his injury have been beaten to a pulp. If this guy's a surgeon, I'm going to go over there and offer him some advice. Hey, I think you should move the knife a little to the left there. Isn't that the appendix over here, or is it over here?
I don't think I would want Dr. Heinz working on me.
Or providing some kind of advice. Wouldn't that be fun? Because we all think that we're like the offensive coordinator on the football team. And it's like, what are we doing? And then like for basketball, I feel like that we're all like to a certain degree more defensive savants. It's like, why aren't we defending the paint? Why aren't we going out and putting a man on three? Or why are we allowing two over here on the baseline to get that unobstructed jumper? Why can't we shoot free throws? I can be the free throw coach because I teach my kid how to shoot free throws in the driveway. It seems like we always have some things that we feel like that we can do just as well as the paid professionals. This should have beaten Arizona State last night without him. Man, that's a bit of a stretch, but maybe it was a bit of a stretch with my K-State analogy. But they've only won 2 games, so
I mean,
in Big 12.
You nearly did beat them without him.
Yeah, right. I mean, you had an opportunity. Yeah.
But you didn't play the whole game without him. I mean, the dude had
last 6 minutes.
20 points and 8 boards or whatever.
Yeah. And you had the ball in the hand. The guy you wanted, he just got pressured and lost the ball out of his hands and never got a shot up, But you like your chances with Christian Anderson with the ball in his hands and just outside the three-point line. If he could get himself, just a little bit open, just a little bit of space. I mean, he's proven that he can hit that deep three and that pressure three. So, despite the fact that you missed free throws down the stretch, a couple of big ones when you really needed them, but you turned them over. and force them to defend you at the end, and then they got a big turnover there at the end. So we shall see. We get this from El Rojo. Buenos dias, Chuck and Jamie. I had a very good time in Edinburgh at the UT-RGV game. Jamie, did you hear us yelling Raider power? Tech beat a good team last night who was expected to win the Southland Conference. They do need some good starting pitching. That from El Rojo.
I did hear El Rojo. I did not know it was him at the time.
Okay.
But it was awesome because he was starting the Raider power chant, and it was great. It was good.
Yeah.
We just couldn't get Gus to go out and reply with the correct answer for when someone screams Raider. And
yeah, there was a little time there where he was yelling Raider and nobody else was joining in. So, Gus and I were still appreciating his efforts.
Yeah. Why did we throw the ball into the corner in a full court press? Did it 5 times, causing 4 turnovers. I taught my 12-year-olds this. See, there you go. There you go.
hey, if you got some time this afternoon, we could maybe use your help over at the USA.
Yeah. I feel this year's team has one plan, and if it isn't working, then we are undone. When Anderson was sick, the plan didn't exist, and we lost out. We lost last night after JT was out. I don't like that pattern. Well, those are 2 pretty key guys for you.
When Anderson was sick, you were up against a top 10 team by 10 with 6 minutes to go.
Right.
It wasn't like you fell apart.
Right.
You still played a good basketball game. You just didn't play a final 5 minutes really well.
Well, even the last couple. I mean, if you'd have, just hadn't turned the ball over there and allowed a 3 to tie it up and then another 3 to win it, you were really close there. So and I mean, that's just kind of how it is. It's unfortunate. It feels like you've been really close on a couple of games that you'd really love to have back. The KU game at home and last night's game at Arizona State. So there you go. We'll have Lady Raider basketball tonight, Jamie. It's a blackout for Texas Tech and Baylor. And for the Lady Raiders, man, you really need a kind of a bounce back tonight because what you did against Oklahoma State the other night it wasn't good in the second quarter, which is it's somewhat surprising that you got outscored by 13 in the second quarter because in the Big 12, the second quarter has been your best quarter. And even still, after being outscored by 13 the other night, you still have outscored your Big 12 opponents by 51 in the second quarter. Now, conversely, in the third, you're even. And in the fourth, you've only outscored your opponent by 18. And Baylor's in a similar boat in that the second quarter has been their best quarter in the Big 12 in terms of outscoring their opponent, 62. They've been outscored by 7, despite outscoring their opponent the other night against UCF. They've only outscored their opponents in the second half by 21 points. But on Sunday against UCF, they outscored them by 41. So think about that. They were minus 20 in the second half for the Big 12 prior to Sunday's game, in which they scored 41 of their 93 points in the second half. How crazy is that? So this Baylor team, I mean, they're good, okay? They're good, and they have their best player back in Talia Scott, and she averages almost 19 a game. But here's the thing. They average 71 points a game. They give up 63. Texas Tech averages 70 points a game. They give up 63. So when Baylor wins, in their 11 wins, they've outscored their opponent and scored 73 points. In their 3 losses, they've averaged 62. Texas Tech, in their 10 wins, they've averaged 72. In their 4 losses, they've averaged 64. So I bet our final tonight is somewhere between 73 for one team and 62 to 64 for the losing team. So I hope it's well, that's just how the math works.
You want to tell us who it is that wins?
I feel really good about this game. I think you're going to have you've got to make shots, and I realize that's the basic premise of basketball, but you've got to be above 40% tonight, I think, in shooting from the field, and you've got to hit your layups, because that's been a problem inside. You just have struggled at times to hit some of the bunnies. Or the other thing that they really want to do is they want to go inside and they want to score and get fouled, have a chance for three, and outscore their opponent from the free throw line. But here's the thing. On your twos this year, Texas Tech is at 46% on their twos. That's 46% of your points come from twos. Your opponent's 57% of your points come from twos. So they got to do a better job of defending inside tonight against this Baylor team. And the Baylor team, I mean, they're littered with names that you know. I mean, Dariana Littlepage Buggs, she averages a double-double. She averages almost 12 and 10 rebounds a contest. Somebody says this: nobody followed any of that, Chuck. Math logic. Okay.
I'm just going to tell you, my head's spun around a couple of times.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Down there on the floor, rolling around.
I'm so sorry.
Just kicked it like a soccer ball.
I apologize for that. I'll try to be better. Jamie's.
You overloaded us with stats there.
I did. I kind of drilled down a little too deep there, and didn't really. I just struck rock. Right.
Well, you kept drilling after you're past where you wanted to be.
Yeah.
And you could have just stopped and let us go. Oh, look, there's oil here.
Yeah.
And you kept going.
Well, I apologize.
Slow down. Let us catch up a little.
I'm sorry. I had an extra swig of coffee, and then I just kind of got
and a donut
going, and
got a sugar rush going too.
Yeah, got a sugar rush going. All that.
I blame Arkansas.
Yeah. Jamie's question of the day is next.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, very simple question for you today. Mm-hmm. We're going Lady Raider basketball here. Mm-hmm. What are your postseason expectations for the Lady Raiders when it comes to the NCAA tournament?
Get there, okay, which would still be a tremendous achievement. You've won 10 games, and I think that I don't know if you're a lock, but I think you're pretty close to a lock. Certainly like to avoid having to be in the play-in game, but I think getting there and winning a game, Jamie, would be just remarkably successful. Because right now you're a 7 seed, according to the latest bracketology.
Yeah. They need to get to the Sweet 16. They're that good. They have shown what they can do all season. They've beaten teams that have been impressive wins all season long. There is nobody in the tournament in the first weekend that should scare them. They should be able to get to the second weekend.
Well, that's 2 wins, Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's saying Sweet 16.
Yeah. I'm going to say I expect a 1 win at this point. I'm predicting that they don't make the second weekend. But I definitely think they're talented enough to do it. I think the lack of postseason play scares me a little bit. Mm-hmm. Okay, but I feel like when this team is playing their best, they've beaten good teams this year. I feel like when this team is playing their best, I feel like 2 wins, I should say, is not like crazy talk at all. Mm-hmm. And getting to the Sweet 16, seems like it's, completely possible. Completely possible. I don't think I would say if you don't make the Sweet 16 that you're leaving meat on the bone just because it's been so long since you've made the postseason.
Yeah.
But I definitely think you're talented enough to be there.
So right now, if you stayed at a 7 seed, you have to play a 2 seed if you win because you're playing a 10 seed. So right now, Charlie Krim has Texas Tech in the Ann Arbor Regional, and so you would play North Dakota State, and if you win that game, then you would play the winner of Michigan and Louisiana Monroe, I think is who that is. LMU. So let's say you have to play Michigan. They're two, and I know nothing about them, so I can't sit here and say. I can't sit here and say the difference.
Are the same way.
Yeah, I can't sit here and say, well, playing a Big Ten team because the Big Ten style may be completely different than what you've been playing. But there's no question. I mean, you've beaten good teams, West Virginia and TCU and Baylor. There's just been some times where
been really good away from home.
Yeah,
which gives me hope for postseason.
Yeah, because you won at Albuquerque and you won at Pullman and then some you didn't play what.
Don't count that one. Washington State's maybe the worst team in college basketball.
They might, yeah, but I mean,
count the Baylor game, count the
West Virginia game.
The Utah game.
Yeah.
Or maybe you played your best game of the season. Don't count Washington State.
Okay. It's just, but it was.
I and Jeff could have beat that team.
We need a shooter.
Yeah. I don't know.
Can we borrow your daughter for the shooter aspect of it?
Jamie, I might be at one end of the court, and I'll just put me at the baseline, set me up for a hook shot. Okay, that'd be about it.
Oh, great! We're playing 5-on-3 on defense now. That's going to be fun.
Jeff, does it shock you that he only wants to play offense?
No, not at all. Not even a little.
That's so not Chuck.
Okay, so let's go. Let's backtrack just a sec. No, they have not been to the NCAA tournament in forever and a year. But they had a nice little postseason run last year.
They did.
That a lot of these girls participated in,
right,
and looked really good doing it for most of the part. Now,
yeah, you should have beaten Florida on the same night that the Red Raiders lost to Florida.
Whatever range of competition you want to say they were playing, that is still one and you're done type situation. And there are members of this team that played in the WNIT a few years ago. Like, there's some... I know it's not the NCAA.
Sure.
But these girls know what one and done means. Mm-hmm. They know that it's win or go home time. And I don't know that the lack of NCAA tournament experience is as much of a hindrance for this team specifically as it would be had they not had that last couple of seasons for making postseason play that wasn't the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, Jalen Bristow, Danae Fritz, Bailey Maupin, all with postseason competition last year, and then Snudda Collins went from her previous school, and same with Jada Malone and Sydney Love. I think had some postseason experience as well. So, yeah, well. I don't think you're wrong about that. So we'll see. Choice says that CBS has Tech as a 6 seed facing the 11 seed Columbia, and I think if you could win tonight and then win Saturday, let's say you win 3 of your next 4, I think you'd be at least a 6 seed. Maybe you'd be a 5 seed, Jamie. Maybe at the end of the day, and then.
Sure would help.
Yeah, and then here's the other thing is if right now you earn the double bye. So, what happens if you go to the Big 12 and you win a game or you win 2? Then that really puts you in a really good spot. So, but it kind of all starts with tonight. You want to validate your win at Baylor and take care of your business tonight, and part of that is taking care of the basketball and turning Baylor over, getting some second chance points, getting some points off turnovers, and then getting to the free throw line. The other thing they really want to do, they want to limit Baylor's possessions tonight. So they feel like if they could be at 60 possessions, if Baylor could be at 60 possessions or less, then that would put you in a pretty good spot.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
We come to you, Jamie, Jeff, and I, from the First United Bank studio. Jamie is still traveling. He's on the road today. He'll be back with us tomorrow as we discuss the world of sports. We'll have Red Raider basketball with Grant McCaslin on the air tomorrow from 6 until 7. He might enlighten us a little bit on, and hopefully can deliver some good news on JT Toppin, who suffered a apparent leg injury, with about 6 minutes to go in the ball game last night. And, of course, Tech lost the game to Arizona State. Man, if you'd have said a week ago, you're going to go 1-1 against Arizona and Arizona State, you're like, well, okay, I can see that because you're playing the number one team in the country and they're coming off of a loss. But after you got the one, you're like, oh, man. Now anything less than 2-0 is going to be really, really disappointing. And that's where you find yourself this morning, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know why I was so nervous about this game. I think they're so much better than Arizona State. It just felt like, and that was my nerves came before you beat Arizona.
I know, right?
On Saturday. So it just felt like they played us tough the last couple of times. And I don't know. Just yes, Chuck, what you're saying is absolutely correct. That once you won on Saturday, you're like, that was the number one team in the country. We should be able to beat this team who's not nearly as good. But it's college basketball, and on any given night, and an atmosphere lifts up a college basketball team, and 18 to 21-year-olds don't play as well as they should. There's a reason they're not quite playing in the NBA yet. So. It just happens, but, I think ultimately I think everybody's going to be disappointed about the loss, also worrying about JT Toppin's health and all that good stuff. But it's just the nature of the beast. It's a really good conference, and you just, when they talk about there are no nights off or whatever, this kind of speaks to that.
Yeah, I mean, and you could say, well, they had to, spend extra time in the desert and, sitting around and all that kind of stuff. Well, I mean, if they'd have won, you'd have said, wow, man, they did use that prep time to get ready, and they looked fresh, and their legs were good, and they didn't have to worry about anything. So it's it just came down to not being able to take care of the basketball for whatever reason, because they scored time and time again on points off turnovers, but yet, you can. And you say that, and then you look at, well, in the second half, you did a better job because they got just 7 points off of your turnovers in the second half. I mean, and even though you turned it over 9 times, and the problem is you turn it over those 9 times in the second half, you have empty possessions. So. At any rate, that affects you too. I mean, they can, just because they don't score on your points off turnovers doesn't necessarily mean that you've had success there, right? Because you had those empty possessions. And my mistake on Grant McCaslin, his last show was last week, so that's on me. So.
That's right. Tomorrow night, Coach Tadlock's first show. Okay.
So look forward to hearing from the skipper tomorrow night as he talks Red Raider baseball with us from 6 until 7 tomorrow night. But at any rate, I mean, so when you turn it over 9 times, and even though they only got 7 points off of that, it still left you with, like I said, empty possessions. And you only scored 31 points in the second half and 67 for the game. So that's just a shocking number. It's not your low total, because your low was 61 against Kansas, and then you had 65 in a loss at Houston back on January the 6th. So clearly, when teams have held you into the 60s, you've not been able to win this year. But in those losses, Kansas only scored 64, and Houston 69, and then last night it was. Arizona State coming up with 72. So that's about what you average in giving up in Big 12 play, 72 points a game. but yet you were way off of what you normally score, which is 80 in Big 12 play. So now they got to figure out either A, we're going to have JT on Saturday and everything's going to be back to hopefully business, or B, which may be more likely, how do we play without him for a couple of games or potentially longer? So that's what they'll be dialing up over at the Womble for the rest of this week, is trying to figure that out, and K-State and how much different they are without Jerome Tang as their coach versus with him as their coach. And maybe the new guy will run a little bit different offense and defense, because now he goes from suggestions to his decisions. So we shall see about that. It's a stripe out on Saturday, Jamie.
Okay, that's fun.
For Texas Tech and Kansas State. Yeah. And I'm not
we usually have done a pretty good job with those.
I think we have followed instructions very, very well on those. So yeah, so that should be a lot of fun, and hopefully have a great crowd. We need to have a great crowd to get this team, feeling like they've got the fan base behind them and the student section behind them, and just the joint needs to be jumping. Joint needs to be jumping tonight too for the Lady Raiders and Baylor. I did not do math on this, Jamie. I did research on this. If my research is correct, the last time you beat them in Lubbock was February the 19th of 2011, a 56-45 win over Baylor. Okay?
Okay.
So that's 15 years.
Like we're due.
Feel like you're due. And I feel like you probably need to be touching 70. And the other thing I feel like, this is what I feel like. I think you need 3 in double figures tonight. When you beat them in Waco, you had 2 in double figures. Snudda Collins had 21 and Bailey Maupin had 11. And Jalen Bristow was right there. She had 8. And I feel like that you need some Jalen Bristow production tonight. You need her to not get early fouls. You need her for her defense. She leads this team in rebounding in Big 12 play, leads them in defensive rebounding. The other thing she does is she leads them in blocks. So I just feel like that she could be an X factor for you tonight, but you need her to stay in the game and you need her to hit shots. So you need that production out of the 6'2 junior tonight, in addition to what you're going to get from Snudda Collins off the bench and Bailey Maupin. It's 8:10 this morning on the Morning Drive. We'll have Lady Raider basketball tonight at 5:30. The tip at 6 on 93.7 The Eagle.
This has been the Morning Drive podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.